your diet. You were talking to that young lady at the expo. It might have been Arnold. And I'm trying to imagine, because I'm sitting there trying to get back in shape from my rotator cuff injury. You're sitting there like a brick house at 375. Is there anything specifically that you have to eat? Because now that you've left the world of strongman and you are a WWE superstar and you know how tough this life is now,
yes,
how long have you been on the road?
Coming up here, it's the Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam is when I debuted last year. So we're coming up on a year right now in the next, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are you eating on the road to maintain 375?
I eat a lot of Chipotle. That's my guilty pleasure when it comes to food, because I guess they advertise they're organic and the price ain't bad for how much that I got to eat. So it usually works out. I usually hit them 3, 4, 5 times a week when I'm out doing that. And then it gets tough. I mean, at late at night, there ain't a whole lot of options. So, I mean, it's load up on, usually when I land in a town, first place I go is like a vitamin shop and go straight and load up on protein bars and little cookies and snack things like that, so I don't have to be a fat pig and eat whatever at the gas station at 2 o'clock in the morning while I'm making towns.
Do you have to worry about, what kind of food you're taking in? Because obviously you have great genetics, but, I mean, if you ate garbage, would you get fat?
Yeah. I try more so now because I don't burn as many calories working out as much anymore because I don't go as crazy. Now my normal gym's about an hour and a half, and that's doing 20 minutes of cardio in there.
Go back to the start of the Strengthman days when you started training with that guy. What did you focus on? I mean, were you doing heavy deadlifts, squats, and bench? Because I know those are power lifts, but did you use those along with everything else that the strongmen do?
Yeah.
Like, what were your totals? What were numbers you were throwing up?
Well, yeah. We focused on a lot of the 3 lifts, but instead of more of like the bench press aspect, I think it was more the clean and press overhead. Because within strongman, there's no bench press events anymore, at least that I know of. But yeah,
but those are just kind of staples that guys kind of use as a benchmark. Whether you might not be a power lifter, but how much you bench is always kind of in the equation.
Yeah, the most I ever did was 585 in training.
Was that raw?
That was raw.
That must be a damn good lift.
And then I never really did a lot of I like doing a lot of close grip stuff. I remember one time, a good friend of mine, I don't know if you know Mark Bell, he makes that slingshot.
He was he's on my podcast next Thursday. Yeah, I love the slingshot.
Yeah, me too. That's what I said, to save my elbows and stuff like that. The best I ever did with one of those, I did 525 for 7 on close grip bench press with a slingshot on.
Dude, that's what I like about that thing, because I'll get my heavy reps in before I mess up my rotator cuff on. Now throw on that slingshot and put something on there. I'm always training by myself down at the ranch, so man, it's something that will help me get a few extra reps in. If you're wondering what we're talking about, go to howmuchyoubench.com or supertraining.tv, and you can check out the slingshot. It's an invention by Mark Bell. Have you ever worn a bench shirt?
I tried one on one time, and I couldn't get 500 pounds to touch my chest in it.
Dude, I think it had been so tight. It'd take like 10 guys to pull it on.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I took it off. I looked like a tiger with just bruises all over me, stripe bruises.
But that's what I like about the slingshot, because it just gives you a little bit of assistance. These days, I just think sometimes things are over-equipped, and so it seems like in talking with Mark Bell, he's going for a new bench press PR, and he's going to do it raw, and so raw is coming back in vogue, and I like to see that, because for a while the bench shirts were so thick, it's like, man, it's adding a couple of 100 pounds to the lift, so really what is the lift?
Yeah.
So talk to me about the strongman stuff. If is it the Atlas stones? What kind of training protocol were you in on a day in, day out basis? Because a lot of the stuff I saw you doing, you're pushing prowlers, you're doing Viking presses and stuff like that. But what about the poles and all the other stuff?
A lot of the stuff, when I got to a contest, it was the first time I ever got to put my hands on it. So like where I grew up, like I would to train events like Atlas stones and stuff like that for the first year that I got into strongman, I had to drive 2 hours one way just to get in, and I would only train events 1 day a week. It would be on Sundays, and that's also on top of I worked a regular job. I worked 60 hours a week, then I worked 3 nights a week doing security, and then would get up and go down there to train. When you're chasing a dream, you don't let nothing get in your way.
So how long did you do the strongman? Because I know WWE came calling.
Yeah, my first contest was in September of 2009. I trained maybe like 4 weeks for it, and I won my first contest. It was the Beast of the East, a Nationals qualifier in South Carolina, and I'll never forget, like, being out there and not knowing what I was really getting myself into, and seeing these guys that I got to compete against, and it opened my eyes, because I thought I was a strong guy. And once I got into competing this and started meeting these athletes from all around the country, then the guys from all around the world, man, it's insane, the human beings that walk this earth out there. And just to where I started, and I think I still am, I'm not sure if I am or not, I'm the fastest American to ever start strongman and turn pro. And I started in September of 2009, and I got my pro card in November of 2011.
And that's the question. What does it take to get a pro card in strongman?
Usually they have a nationals event every year, which is North America's Strongest Man. And then I think they have 3 or 4 other opportunities a year. So there's only maybe 4 or 5 spots a year for guys to step up into that next level. And that's what I mean. Strongman opened up so many doors for me. Got to traveling around the country on my own dime for 2 years doing all this, just a guy with a dream. And then I qualified for Nationals 2011, and I knew going in this is gonna be tough, because the competition, there was a lot of really, really good guys and stuff. A late great friend of mine, Mike Jenkins, and stuff, just guys that were the next level, the future stars, the new Magnus for Magnussons, the Marius Pujanowskis, guys that are gonna go on to be etched in stone for the rest of their lives for what they do. So big revolving door of everything I'm saying, man. I won Nationals 2011. It gave me the opportunity to compete at the Arnold Amateur World Championships in 2012, where I represented the United States against, I think it was 52 other athletes from 19 different countries. And we had 7 events. I won 5 of these 7 events at the Arnold that year, because I came in fired up, ready to go for that one.
Tell me about the nerves going into a strongman competition, because here in a minute I'm going to shift gears and we will talk about wrestling, because that's a whole different crowd. And some of the stuff that I watched you do, I think it was Atlas stone. Y'all were just dropping them over a certain level of height, however many stones you drop, or was your tally 4 times. And, dude, the other guy starts to have a little bit of a hard time with respect to him. Well, you start hamming it up, working the crowd. Are you nervous before a strongman contest, to get back and make it a simple question?
Yeah. At first, I was really nervous, because I had flaws in my game and things that I knew I was going to be weak at, and that they would always make me nervous, because I knew I had to make it up somewhere else. And then as I got further along, more educated in the sport, and then obviously became stronger in it, I started honing out those weaknesses, and it's kind of just sitting in the back, headphones in, just some kind of a good tune in the head, and just trying to stay calm as long as possible as you can, to keep all that basically adrenaline and everything bottled up. And then when it's time to hit your lift, you flip that switch and you go out there and you just let it out.
I'm a music guy, so what kind of music would you do to keep you calm but get you in the state of mind you needed to be?
Sometimes I would do classical stuff, sit and listen to Mozart, not always even music necessarily. I'm a huge Vince Lombardi fan, so I would listen to his speeches and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm giving myself goosebumps right now thinking about just different things. Probably a go-to is Metallica. I mean, just Metallica, Korn, Marilyn Manson, just the heavy stuff right before I go. That's when I'm hitting that switch with something heavier. And then, I don't know, the classic Skinner and Zeppelin, and just things that I grew up listening to that puts me in a happy place and just lets me relax.
What does it take to be a good strong man? Obviously, you have to be genetically inclined. Mm-hmm. If you don't have the gifts, if you don't have the leverage, you can do it, you can participate, but you're probably not going to succeed. On an intellectual level, how paramount is the training, to train smart with the guys that you learn from, as like a power lifter would follow a specific cycle for the 3 lifts for the total? Like, what is the scientific approach, or is there, to the strongman games?
See, with the strongman games, usually they would have given us, it depends what the contest, who promoters are. They give us a few weeks notice of what the events are going to be, so we can hone it up. Otherwise, it's year-round training 20 or 30 different events all the time, because you don't know what they're going to throw at you. Some contest, my first big international contest, I went to Poland to represent the United States, and got there and had no idea what any of the events were, what the weights on anything was, the language barriers there, trying to communicate, figure out what's going on. So it's just that kind of just being good at everything. I mean, I don't really know, like, when it came to, I didn't have to train as much on, like, the moving event stuff. That came really natural to me.